Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Now here we are in a second series of lectures that is scoliosis in children. And it would be divided into 5 parts. The first lecture would be introduction. Second one would be preliminaries. Third one is the scoliosis case finding. The fourth one would be more referring to topography in the detection of scoliosis. And the fifth and the last one would be children at risk for acquiring scoliosis. So let's now start with the first part, the introduction part. And let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have been involved in scoliosis and modeling of the spinal column for the last 45 years. I have worked on this project in James Whitcomb Riley Hospital for Children, Department of Pediatric Orthopedics with Richard Emily Lindsett, Dr. Richard Emily Lindsett, who is the orthopedic surgeon. Then in 1988, I visited Malmö General Hospital, where I worked with Dr. Stig Willner, who is an authority in this field. He has developed new braces, and Dr. Yoran Banuni. And then I have been using this in Pakistan in different schools where I have been involved in the scoliosis case finding and then looking at the follow-up of the scoliosis. In addition, I have done the theoretical modeling of the spinal column and I will be describing that. But let's first talk, what is a scoliosis? I have come to know that there were some parents who were not even aware of the name scoliosis. They were mixing it up with sclerosis or the other diseases. In this part of the lecture, I'll give you the informal description. Then in the second lecture, when we are through with a little bit of the preliminaries and the definitions and the anatomy, then I'll give you a formal definition of the scoliosis. Scoliosis is a deformity of the backbone of the spinal column, and it usually occurs, as I will say, roughly that in children at around the age of 8 to 9 years. It is detectable if a proper examination is made, and since the child is growing very fast in this time period, like adolescent growth spurt, as soon as the child enters puberty, and then this scoliosis also increases very quickly, and then the deformity is very severe. And if the deformity is severe, then what can it do to your child's quality of life? Well, it can impair the basic functions, like even the walking, even the sitting. It can affect the lungs, because if the spinal column is deformed in such a way that it is pressing the lungs, it is pressing the heart, and then in that case, it could become very dangerous. It could even threaten the life. Imagine that you are spending a lot of money in training a pilot, an Air Force pilot. I have been working in Fazaiya Degree College, PF Degree College, and so on, and there we talked with the people. And Pakistan Air Force is spending a lot of money and they are not able to detect scoliosis. So the person cannot fly the plane because the person cannot get to the controls and the pilot cannot properly operate these controls. So what is the use of that? And similarly, other functions, if the person has to work in some laboratory and so on, and then if the proper posture cannot be maintained, then many of the functions cannot be done. In females, it could hamper and it could produce complications in the childbearing and in the daily working of the life in performing the household chores. If the spinal column is not working properly, as we say in Urdu, reed ki haddi, that is the thing, that is the spine and the trunk of the human body. If it is damaged, then how the person can transport himself or herself? Now, this scoliosis, as I have talked, the general one, and which we will be concentrating on, although there would be many types of scoliosis we will be discussing in the forthcoming lectures. This is starting from the age 8 to 10, and then because the child is entering puberty and the child is growing then the scoliosis is also growing. The curve, which is very small at that stage, then that could really advance to a very, very high degree, like 100 degrees, 150 degrees, and the entire body is completely deformed. And if it is so deformed, at times the person cannot even walk. And you can imagine what would happen to the quality of life. Now, gender-wise distribution. Now, in Pakistan, there have not been so exhaustive studies that we can give you the statistics. We have only our preliminary studies on the selected data, on the basis of we concluded that girls are 2 times more susceptible to scoliosis as compared to boys. Whereas in the Western world, in the Caucasian population, the white population, they have got this statistics like Europe and America, that girls are 5 times more susceptible to scoliosis as compared to boys. Now, and why it is difficult to detect? Now look, girls are more susceptible, and scoliosis occurring in a very sensitive age period, like you can say 8 to 10 and 10 to 12. And it is this period where the modesty really takes up and nobody really is able to see the undressed child, and in that case it is hidden. And accidentally, when the clothes do not fit properly, or when it is even visible from above the clothes, then the parents really get alarmed and then they rush to the doctors. And sometimes there is an over-treatment without ruling out the other conditions, without looking at the onset and so on. And if it is mistreated and a surgery is performed without proper consideration, without by non-specialists, and care is not taken, then the child could even get paralyzed. So what would be the solution? Is that we should be monitoring it beforehand. There should be a system, and I would rather encourage to train the physical education teachers, and then even the introduce awareness into the mothers, especially those who are able to see their children more as compared to the fathers, and then they should be aware, they should know the early warning signals, and then they can seek medical help. Whenever they feel that there is something abnormal or something which they do not understand, it is better to check with the specialist and the doctor instead of procrastinating and thinking that it would go away. It will not go away. And as we'll be talking about the spinal column and the mechanics, it should not go away automatically. Sometimes it goes away, but generally it is not. So it is better to seek immediate medical attention, and medical attention from a proper specialist. If you will go to the doctor, to the general physician, so at times they will have everything is all right, don't worry. So that is even much worse. So it is better to be safe than sorry, and that is only possible if, I think, a consultation is taken from a proper orthopedic surgeon. But even before, once a diagnosis is made and course of treatment is given, you can go with it. But if a surgery is suggested, here I am again warning that there are risks involved. So before resorting there are many risks involved in that. So therefore at least get 3 to 4 opinions to see that there are any other options, or if surgery is the only option, but then should go for the best one, who knows neurology also, who knows about the nerves also, who knows about the spinal column also, so that when a surgery is performed, all the nerves are saved and the risk of paralysis to children is minimized. Thank you very much for bearing with me with this lecture. Then in the next lecture, we are going to come up with the preliminaries about the scoliosis. We are trying to understand the anatomical and physiological terms. Shall be giving you the formal definition of scoliosis, the anatomy of the spinal column, the types of the scoliosis, the conditions related to the scoliosis, the modeling of the spinal column, and so on. Thank you.